Make sure you stop that.
Everybody I know like me.
Oh, it already has said it's recording. Maybe it's always been recording. So how are we going to handle this speaker screen? Who would like to do that? You want me to turn mine around?
Sure.
There we are. Okay. So the AV team has now completed their duties. We're set, Chris.
All right. Good to see everyone. Happy Tuesday and welcome to Silicon Speech Toastmasters. It's great to see everyone. It also is an interesting feeling dialing in remote while seeing all the handsome faces both online and on the screen. It's good to see everybody. We have a couple of new faces today, and I didn't catch your names. So, Steve, I might use your help here, or James, if you all wouldn't mind just introducing yourselves and what brought you to Toastmasters here today.
Start with you.
I'm just curious. I've been to one in New York and I just wanted to kind of try it out here in LA.
Good.
Awesome.
How did you find us?
I'll just Google. Just
Google?
online, yeah.
There you go.
And we have Ben over in the corner. Let me see if I can zero in on Ben.
I'm just here as a willing observer.
A willing observer. Well, that's better than being an unwilling observer, I guess. All right. Okay, Chris, go ahead.
All right, well, it's great to have you both here. So at Silicon Speech, and specifically for Toastmasters, what we do every single Tuesday at this time, we meet both in person and online. And the goal for the hour is to be very intentional with how we practice our public speaking skills. And so you'll have chances if you want to today practice your public speaking skills. If you want to be more on the observer side, it's your first time, that's also okay too, but it's great to have you all. As I mentioned, my name is Chris. I'm the president of our chapter here. And so I have the pleasure today of starting us off with the thought of the day. And then I'm going to bring up Steve and he'll get the rest of the session going for us this evening. But the thought of the day for me, and I apologize, I didn't get your name from New York. What was that?
Miranda.
Miranda. Okay, great. So my dad actually, from Miranda, for everyone else in the room, one of the reasons I wanted to be involved in Toastmasters in the first place is because my dad was a fellow Toastmaster himself. And the club that he was in New York. This was 20 or 30 years ago. And I've seen how much confidence has given him throughout his career. And when I was talking with my dad this weekend over Father's Day, we were talking, most of our conversation was about Toastmasters. And he was reflecting on the times that he had, the positive times he had with Toastmasters. And he was saying that the best part of Toastmasters is that it gives you the power and the confidence to feel like yourself when you are in front of a room full of strangers and articulating thoughts. And I love that. It takes, it can take a while to build that skill of feeling like yourself when you're in front of a stage full of people, full of strangers, to showcase your personality. And as I was reflecting on and thinking about it further, I would add that with Toastmasters and the skills that we get to practice here during these sessions, it also empowers us to give those memorable moments, those wow moments when we want to also give the audience the best versions of ourselves with the stories we tell, with the ways we want to change how our audience thinks about a particular idea, or even get them to move on in action. So with that, we're really happy to have everyone today and excited to work on those skills. So next, thank you. Next, I'm going to bring up our joke master for today, and he's playing a dual role. He's wearing many hats. So Steve is a distinguished Toastmaster. He's been a member of our organization since 2008. And since 2008, he's vowed to keep doing Toastmasters until he gets it right. Steve, I think that's the other part of the introduction I have for you goes into your speech. So just Steve, as you bring up your joke, if there's anything else that I botched with your introduction, please, I'm willing to be humbled here.
No, that's fine. That'll all work. Thank you very much. Time for the joke master. Guy goes to a barber shop. Oh, yes. I forgot my own. There we go. Guy goes to a barber shop, sticks his head in, says, "Hey, how long is it going to be before I get a haircut?" Barber looks around, the place is packed. He says, "I'm sorry, it's going to be a couple of hours." Guy goes, "No problem." He leaves, doesn't come back. Next day, same thing, sticks his head in. "How about today? How long?" Guy goes, "Well, I don't know, maybe about an hour and a half." No problem. Leaves. Once again, doesn't come back. Third day comes around. Sticks his head in, says, how about today? How long today before I get a haircut? The barber goes, I guess it's going to be about an hour and a half. And the guy goes, no problem. He leaves again. And the barber says to his friend, this is crazy. He asked how long it's going to be, never comes back. Follow him and see where he goes. So his friend comes back about 10 minutes later, and the barber says, where does a guy go? His friend says, your house. There we go.
Really? Is that my kind of joke?
I don't know. I got that from the Karan Bavandi joke book. Okay, we have a timer. James is going to be our timer tonight. What will our timer be doing, James?
I'll be telling you duration of the speech. So if it's 5 to 7 minutes, green 5, yellow 6, and then red for 7.
Great, thank you very much. Ishmael's speech is going to be 4 to 6, right, Ish?
That's all. Green at 4 and then red at 6.
Yes, red at 6. And yours is going to be 5 to 7-ish?
Yes.
Okay, good. You know the routine. We do need an awe counter. Would that be something you'd be able to do, John?
I can give it a stab.
Okay, why don't you tell us what the awe counter will be doing?
So, from what I know from the odd counter, my role is to listen for any sort of filler words or sound that may distract the messaging from the speaker. And these filler words can be anything such as like, and so and so.
Good. And John and James will have reports at the end of the evening. Let's see, what was I going to say? How about I think it covers everything, right? We have a substitute, jars.
Grammarian.
Oh, the grammarian. Yes, we need a word of the day for John. What about reprehensible?
Love
Does
it.
that work?
That's a word.
Okay. That's fun to work with. We'll see how we can work that in. Okay. So let's begin. Our first speaker tonight. It's going to be his icebreaker speech. And his name is Ish. He didn't send me an introduction. He needs no introduction, obviously. So let's give a warm welcome online to Ishmael Samuel.
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry, Steve. I didn't realize I was supposed to send an introduction, but
That's
I appreciate the great one. Everyone, my name is Ishmael Samuel. Before I get into the topic, I want to set some context as to why this topic matters to me. You have to know that I grew up very deeply immersed in the church. My dad was a pastor. I went to church twice a week. I spent 10 summers going to Bible camps. I went on mission trips all over the world. Christianity was not just a belief system I occasionally heard about, but it was the water that I grew up swimming in. Recently, I've been reading the works of Neville Goddard, and his books have completely consumed me. I've been reading and rereading his books almost every single day, sometimes twice a day. No joke, today I read 3 of his books, today alone, and one of them was a reread. What fascinates me most about Neville is he has a very provocative take on Christianity. He interprets scripture in a way that I've just never heard before. Most religions, at some level, try to answer 3 questions. What is man's problem? Where does that problem come from? And what is the solution? In traditional Christianity, the problem is sin. The problem enters through separation from God, temptation, and Satan, and the solution is Jesus. In Buddhism, which I practiced for a very long time, several years, the problem is ego, attachment, and illusion. The problem comes from within, and the path to freedom also comes from within you. When I first discovered Buddhism, it captivated me. For the first time in my life, after decades of Christianity, I felt a deep sense of ownership over my own personal outcomes. It gave me a framework of accountability. It taught me to examine my own mind, my attachments, my reactions, and my identity. Eventually, when I came back to Christianity, but for a long time, I struggled to reconcile the ownership that I learned in Buddhism with the faith that I returned to in Christianity. That was until recently when I discovered Neville Goddard. Neville's interpretation is provocative because not only does he read the Bible as external history, he reads it as an inner drama. He says the characters in scripture represent states of consciousness. So when the Bible talks about weakness or poverty, blindness, imprisonment, or even death and resurrection, Neville sees those not only as physical conditions or historical events, but as states that people can live from internally. That made verses like, let the weak man say, I am strong, and let the poor man say, I am rich, hit very differently for me. It's not just positive thinking, it is an entire change in identity. For Neville, faith is not just believing that something might happen someday. Faith is the ability to enter the feeling of a reality before it has appeared before you physically. That idea has made me think very differently about the power of the mind. A lot of us think we are reacting to life as we encounter it, but Neville would say that we are reacting to life through the assumptions that we carry. If I assume that I am weak, I move through the world timidly. If I assume I am rejected, I interpret everything as rejection. If I assume I am limited, I start looking for evidence that that limitation is true. But faith interrupts that pattern. Faith says, I do not have to wait for the world to give me permission to become someone new. It can begin inwardly. I can assume strength before I feel strong. I can assume peace before my circumstances are peaceful. I can assume abundance before the evidence is obvious around me. And then over time, the outer world begins to reorganize around that inner conviction and reconcile itself to meet your own beliefs. And not magically in the sense of doing nothing, but spiritually and practically. We speak differently. We make different choices. We notice different opportunities. We stop agreeing with our old identity. So when scripture says, let the weak man say, I am strong, I hear Neville saying, do not describe yourself only by your current condition. Speak from the state that you are being called into. And that is where Neville's view of Jesus becomes especially provocative. One of his boldest ideas is that Jesus represents the true self, not the ego, not the anxious personality, but the version of us shaped, not the version of us shaped by fear, shame, or limitation, but the divine self awakened within man. To Neville, Christ is not only someone to worship externally, Christ is also something to awaken within us internally. It is not the part of us that can live from faith before the evidence appears. The part that can say, I am strong while still feeling weak. The part that can say, I am free before the chains have visibly fallen off. And to him, the kingdom of heaven is not just a place in the clouds, it is a state of being here on earth. Peace, faith, love, freedom, union with God within you. And that idea has challenged me very deeply because it means I cannot only wait for the outside world to change before I become different. I have to ask, what state am I living in right now? Am I living from fear or faith? Am I living from lack or from abundance? Am I living from shame or from love, from limitation or from possibility? And that's also a part of why I'm here at Toastmasters. Public speaking is not just a skill that I want to learn, it's a state that I want to practice. So if I had to summarize what Neville is teaching me, it is this. Transformation does not begin somewhere outside of me. It begins within me. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, for our guests, one of the things that Toastmaster provides after any speech, it provides an evaluation. Now, various clubs do this in various ways. Sometimes they'll have an evaluator come up and do it. Other clubs like ours, we do kind of a round robin thing where we go around the room and we ask the people to, ask our members to say what they thought of the speech, something good about the speech, what they liked, and then maybe something that the speaker would be able to do later to improve. It's called, and then it's another positive. It's called the Toastmaster sandwich. It's called. So we're going to go around the room. Everybody will take about a minute. Karan, what did you think?
I thought it was a great icebreaker, a great way for you to tell us who you are. I'm gonna give you some critiques on the presentation itself, the number one, I always say how you start. You don't have to introduce your introduction, just starting with, I started my life with my preacher father, gives us the context for us to know everything about you. The other thing I would say, you talked about Neville Gutter. I would also give some background for him. He may be known to you, but for those of us who don't know him, it would be great to have a context about who he is. But otherwise, I thought that you had great structure to your speech. It was a great way to introduce yourself and a great conclusion to your speech as well.
Good, Shar.
Yeah, I thought it was a great ending. And I have read all his books too. And I loved how you put it into context of where it hit you, where in your life. I love that, and I agree with Ron in that area. My only advice to you, Ishmael, is to look into the camera when your audience is all here. It was like you were looking up. I don't know if your screen is up above you or something. Yeah, because you're looking up the whole way. So that's one thing we need to learn to do well in this world. So just look into the camera.
Chris.
Great speech. I can see where the childhood experiences just from growing up with the family of a pastor and those stories and teaching from the Bible gets passed on to you, how you craft and share those stories. I would reiterate what Karan said. I think that within your introduction, chance to really bring the audience in with all the senses with telling the story. If you just want to, in the future, give Steve the Toastmaster the introduction, and then you can just hop in and give a visual of maybe what it was like to be in that pulpit one Sunday morning or how you felt, and that will evoke sensory imagery for the audience. I think there's a chance to do that there. And I would also agree with Shar. It's one of the most counterintuitive pieces, but especially with as much virtual speaking as you're doing and everyone else giving virtual presentations, getting the cadence right of looking into the camera and also to the screen so you can see everyone's reaction. But as you give the speech again in the future, pausing and making the eye contact lens so it looks like for the audience you're holding eye contact with everyone.
Good, James.
Yeah, I thought compelling subject matter, great cadence. And give a shout out as well, like good hand gestures, even though you're online, I think a lot of things on that aspect, even though it's important. And then I agree with Karan, just on Neville Gutter, some additional context that would have been helpful. And then there's just at times in terms of the structure, we're bringing it back to real life, or kind of breaking up a lot of the theory and information with real world examples, or just having a cadence where it's brought back to the present. And at points would have made the audience a little bit more engaged in certain portions, but I thought this was a great intro overall, and we're really good first pass.
Good. Miranda, would you like to?
I feel like I thought it was fantastic, and I knew, so I don't know what else to say. That's great.
All right, good. Ben?
I thought it was really well done. I thought your tone was very good. I thought you were very clear in your language. You have a nice smile. I feel like you could have looked into the camera more just so that we knew who you're speaking to. But I did like how you pieced Christianity into Buddhism into Neville Goddard. I did see a through line there. I like that you got to the punch. That's, I don't know what a Toastmaster introduction is. So to the fact that you clearly got to the point, I think that's very helpful. I thought the structure was good. So overall.
Good, great. John, what do you think?
Yes, I thought it was a very powerful speech. You used a good structure within your comparison between Buddhism and Christianity. I thought you had great pauses when you're delivering your punchlines. You had words such as faith, abundance, sin, ego, and I think that really kind of captures the whole meaning when you talk about religion, is talking about those strong key points. I loved I'd say the aspect where you talked about the two sides to things. I think I relate to that very deeply, of just kind of building from within and using that as a trajectory to pursue your certain actions. I think one feedback that I would have is I would love to know kind of the before, middle, and after of like what Buddhism and Christianity did to you. I got the after aspect, but I think it was kind of hard to follow the before and middle of those teachings.
Good, thank you. I'll wrap things up. I don't think there was anything reprehensible. I thought it was a terrific speech, Ish. I think I agree with Ben. The tone was perfect. And I like the cadence. I like the conversational aspect. We talked about the eye contact as well. It was very well structured. My one thought would be that maybe this is the speech with purpose and not the icebreaker. I would like to hear a little more about you personally. And there is no rule about how you're supposed to do an icebreaker, but the idea is that we should get to know who you are as an individual. And I think we did that to a degree with your speech tonight, but I would like to hear more about, well, I was born here and went there and did this, did that, and more of the nuts and bolts of your journey, I guess, is what I would like to say. But other than that, like I say, it was really well done. The tone was spot on, and I look forward to your next book. Thank you. All right. Our next speaker tonight did give me his introduction at the last minute, which means I have to read it off my phone, which I have to look through a few ads here to find it. Okay. Our next speaker, Karan Bavandi, began practicing Bikram yoga in 1991 and spent more than 3 decades exploring its physical, mental, and philosophical dimensions. Tonight, he'll be sharing the philosophy behind Bikram yoga and explain how it grew into one of the world's largest yoga communities, with studios spanning the globe. Please welcome Karan Bavandi.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. There is a reason why Bikram yoga is arguably one of the most successful yoga practices in the world today. I started back in 1991. I was introduced to it by my mother. The first time I did a class at Bikram, he said, sign up for a month and come every day. And that was it. My mom was in the first teacher's training. My sister did the teacher training. And today, pretty much anywhere you go around the globe, you're going to have a Bikram studio. I want to talk about why his practice is so effective and powerful. When you walk into a Bikram yoga, it's called traditionally the hot yoga. But it's not as much the hot yoga, but the Bikram yoga class has mirrors. So when you go into a Bikram yoga class, you're standing and you're first looking at yourself. You are exploring yourself. It's a mindfulness. That is a very powerful feature of the yoga because you can't run away from yourself. You actually get to see yourself in action. The number 2 thing that makes Bikram yoga really powerful is the dialogue. So in yoga, you don't have instructions, you have a dialogue. And the dialogue is not what the teacher tells you, but it's about hearing and your own actions. And the dialogues basically describe the asanas, the postures. And they're always very exacting. If any of you have practiced yoga, who's been to a yoga class? Pretty much a lot of people in Los Angeles. Not you?
No, it's on my list of things to do.
Okay. That's not reprehensible, but you can. What a dialogue does, it gives you mindfulness of the body. So when the first posture after breathing in Bikram starts like this, he said, stand straight and have your feet and your toes touching. Put your buttocks in, shoulders up, take his hands, take them up, chin up. What this does is it gives you mindfulness of your body. When you listen to it and you practice it, what you're paying attention to is your body in your body. One of the things you see some people do, and it's obvious in a big class, you can see it often. A lot of people stand there and they don't have their feet touching. And Bikram was always very insistent on reminding people to get into the right posture. Not because it's instructional, but it's because it reminds you to be mindful of how you're showing up. What is it that you're doing? The second important process in this practice is mindfulness of your feelings. One of the things that you're reminded to practice is to always breathe through your nose. Never to open up your mouth, but always breathe through your nose. Your breath, our breath, is the connection between the body and the mind. And when you can regulate your breath, you can keep equanimity. And that way, your mind doesn't take off. One of the things that you will notice when you're stressed is that you will always start breathing differently. When your mouth opens and you start breathing and hyperventilating, one of the things that happens is you're going to start, your mind goes off on you. So by regulating your mind, your breath, you're actually calming your mind. This is a very important practice of mindfulness. If you remember, some of you were not here last week, I was talking about the Buddha's mindfulness practice, mindfulness of the body in the body, mindfulness of feelings, and feelings have very much to do with your breath. The third one is the mindfulness of your thoughts. One of the things that happens, especially in a Bikram yoga, which is the postures are arguably difficult, especially when you start early, is you don't want to stay in those postures. You're reminded to do things and follow the form. That's the best way to put it, to achieve a form. So when you're doing a triangle, you're supposed to go in and have a triangle, and you have to watch the triangle. And if you have a hard time doing that, one of the things that happens is your mind starts going off on you. It's watching how you respond to those difficult situations when time becomes difficult. It's not always easy. I remember one time I would always take all of my friends to Bikram yoga. They had to, he used to call it the Bikram torture chamber. So I would take them to be tortured. So my friend Hamid, he had a heart condition. I mean, now, he's had a couple of heart surgeries, but there's one Bikram posture in particular that when you do it, it pumps blood into your heart. And he quit the class, he got up and he went out. And then later, when I talked to him and I say, what happened? He said, oh, that's fucking Indian. I don't want him to tell me what to do. So he started projecting to not be mindful, to know that you're looking at the mirror. Whatever is happening, that's you. You are happening in that classroom. And to not push it off to somebody else. So the Bikram yoga, any yoga practice, when you really understand what is it that you're doing, that you're practicing mindfulness, you want to focus on your posture, then you want to focus on your breath, you want to calm your mind, you want to watch how the movement of thought works in your person. All of that is a hatha yoga. And the reason why Bikram's yoga, in my experience, has been so successful is when people are doing this, even if they don't know everything that I shared with you here right now, they experience it. And that experience you take with you. When you're mindful of your body and your posture and you're walking around, that makes you feel good about who you are and how you carry yourself. You should give it a try.
Thank you, Karan. So we will begin the evaluations with James.
Ron, I love the speech. I didn't know if I'd be able to use the word reprehensible, and then we did a speech on bigger note. But good use of gestures. I thought especially giving yoga as a physical activity, you really took advantage of that and showed us the poses, which I thought really was engaging. Love the overall message, being a yogi myself, namaste. And then I think my only piece of feedback would just be like, I thought the ending could have been punchier, but I think overall the very nitty piece of feedback is I think you nailed something out of the speech there.
Good, thank you. What about you, Ish?
Yeah. First of all, thank you. I really love the topic. Mindfulness, understanding of the self through movement, reflection, just a lot to understand there. I really like the recharacterization of the activity through a new light. Yeah, I think when you're mindful, anything can be meditation, and yoga is one of the most direct ways where you're forced through movement to also be mindful. You were very engaging with your movements. I like that you broke down the lessons like into lists. You know, here's one, here's two, here's three. Yeah, all positive feedback. Really, really enjoyed it.
Okay, Ben, you want to weigh in?
Oh, sure. I thought you checked this very well. Your voice came out very smoothly, very clear. So cool. I really like the structure. I thought that you did a very good job at showing why this particular yoga is powerful. And I love feeling like it was very helpful. So good.
Shar.
I can't stand big room yoga, so.
You find it reprehensible?
But Ron did a very good job of telling why he liked it so much. It's a heat thing for me. But,
Okay.
yeah, this is good. You're getting to be so much more precise in your talks. It's really wonderful to watch and always interesting, and that's all.
Good. To Chris.
Ron, I like your introduction. You nailed it. You immediately gave yourself credentials on why you're the person to talk about it, but you did so in a personal way. Love that. The part I thought you just did really well in it was the gestures, as Ish mentioned. I think specifically because of your topic, there might have been more ways where you could have used gestures to animate exactly what you were talking about. Today, because I'm dialing in remotely, I have a unique experience on this I otherwise wouldn't have if I wasn't in the room. But the piece I would say, just to challenge you on for everyone, is always thinking about the audience. How can I make the speech more impactful for those that are receiving it? You opened up the introduction with good eye contact and going back between in person and then on camera for those that are virtual. Today, we have a little over 30% of your audience is online, but I would imagine after that introduction, you only gave eye contact to the camera less than 10% of the time. So I would keep that in mind, just thinking about how you want to give the ratio for eye contact based on where your audience is in the future.
Good. John.
Yeah, Karan, great speech. I love that you were able to guide us through the instructions on how to do those poses. I think that's a skill set of being able to deliver that while doing those certain movements is extremely hard to do, and you were able to be clear and concise on that. One thing that I noticed when you were giving the importance of Bikram yoga is you listed out four key steps or four key topics. But you mentioned that you had dialogue as the second learning lesson and then mindfulness as also the second learning lesson. So maybe I don't know maybe if I miscounted or not, but I counted four, and you mentioned three total.
Good, thank you. I think that's everybody. I'll wrap things up. I think I love the intro. The fact you were there at the beginning of Bikra was quite interesting. It gives you a lot of credibility. I love the organization. I got four too, John. Mirrors, dialogue, feelings, and thoughts. That got a little confusing there. I love the demos. It's good that you did the demos here. One thing I would like to hear about is the heat and why that is. I've heard that Bikram yoga has hot yoga because he was a wrestler at one time. His joints were not what they were, and his muscles weren't quite as flexible. And he found that with the heat, he would be able to do more poses and it would be more flexible. I don't know whether that's true or not. Maybe we can clear that up at some point. But it was great information. Like Ish's talk tonight, it was really great information for the group. And I will look forward to your next one. All right. So I believe it's time for Shar McBee, who is an author, for those who don't know. And she has several books out, The Joy of Leadership being one, and a close personal friend early on of Jeff Bezos.
Right.
We should, at some point, hear more about that.
You don't want
That's right.
don't be reprehensible.
I said early on, back when he was a good guy starting out.
Here. All right, table topics. It's we're always called, we're in these meetings and then all of a sudden you're just called on to say something. So that's what table topics helps you learn how to stand up and or not stand up and say something that is clear, concise, and people will enjoy hearing. And what I've learned from table topics is it makes it so that you're not so afraid of being called on, because this is a great place to fail. So first question. Tonight, Karan talked about mindfulness of the body. What did you learn from sports about your body? Chris? You know it was for him.
As soon as you said sports, my
I knew you did.
started going. It's that's a great question, Shar. Thank you for it. As I've matured, I've really come to appreciate really a lot of Karan, what you were talking about. Also, Ish, you as well, just on the importance of the mind. But with my background, I played college sports, and at a certain level, everyone has the physical skills. Everyone can run fast enough. Everyone is tall or athletic enough. But the difference between who excels and who doesn't excel, from my perspective, is what is the internal talk track that you have in between plays.
Oh.
Specifically, when you make a mistake, are you down on yourself? Do you say you're such an idiot? How could you do that? Versus is it something more positive, which sounds cheesy, but I'll get the next one. That's not a big deal. That's a one-off. But being more mindful of your responses on that then exudes itself with the body. You're able to be more present. You're not thinking as much about the mechanics. You're able to just be in the moment. And then from there, your body can really react and do what all the hours of training you've enabled it to do is just react. And that's, to me, what I've learned most about being mindful of the body and how powerful the mind is with that.
Hey, thank you. All right. There's in the Upanishads, it says, as you think, so you become. And we heard from Ish that's Neville Goddard talks about it. The Bible talks about it. It's as you think, that's what you become. So what have you been thinking about lately that you want to become? John?
Thank you. The one thing that I want to become is to be the greatest I can be and just become the best version of myself each and every day. Every day is always going to be bringing on new challenges. It's going to bring on new accomplishments. But as long as I'm taking that one step further and climbing that ladder to reach the best version of myself, I'm always going to take that as a win. There are going to be certain moments where it does get hard and those negative thoughts start to creep in, thinking I'm not good enough, I could do better. I'm not the best at what I can do, but it's good to be mindful of those thoughts and be present with them. Never push them away. It's always good to engulf in those negative emotions because you need that in order to be present of where you are and reach towards that next step and have that action plan that comes from that. So that is something that I take every day and just try to become the best version of myself.
Nice, thank you. As you think, so you become. You're going to become the best version of yourself. Very good, Sean. So Ishmael had a beautiful aha, and then just dive deeply into his new understanding. What aha have you had lately, James?
I've already covered the timing just in case anybody.
I didn't cover it.
That's fine, not now, but.
And he has 1 minute to tell the story.
They'll explain the time.
Can I get a quick timer?
Yeah.
Look, I think an aha for me, not recently, but in life, was everybody grows up wanting to become something, a baseball player, an athlete, a politician. Maybe not all of us, but we think growing to become something and being impressive to others and being charismatic. I think that's part of life, but much more important is not how people feel about you, but how you make people feel about themselves. So reverse charisma. And so are you the friend that everybody can call and you pick them up when they're down? Are you somebody others can rely on to show up and be at them for the tough moments? And how do you make others feel about themselves? I think that's a much more important part of life. And that's much more important for how you interact with your communities, the way you make people feel versus the way people think of you has some relevance, and we all want to become something in life. But I think equally as important is how we make people become the best versions of themselves. So that
Great.
What an aha.
Yes.
Love it. All right, let's see. Okay,
Well, can you let Chris in? So just admit it.
Chris got cut out,
Oh, you did?
or maybe he is at the airport and
Yeah,
had to
he
get
had
on
to
a
leave.
plane.
Nobody says admit up there.
Okay.
Maybe he's trying to get back in and you're not letting him.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, he's switching devices.
Oh, okay.
Up on top.
Mhm.
Admit.
There we go.
Sorry. Are you there with us, Chris?
Yep,
I mean-
I'm back. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
cool. All right, so. Let me see, what else? Okay, so. You chose the word reprehensible. So Steve, tell us something reprehensible you've discovered recently.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Postmaster. That'll teach me to come up with the word of the day. What have I experienced that has been reprehensible? Politics aside, I feel like this is such a positive meeting tonight. I feel like I'm at a retreat or something. It's really been really uplifting tonight. But as far as reprehensible, and I think Chris touched on this as well, and it isn't necessarily reprehensible, but it is regrettable to a great degree. And I also have been thinking a lot about self-talk and about focusing on the positive and how important that is. And that does seem to be the theme for tonight's meeting. And I think it's too bad that more people don't do that and really take that seriously. And it is a discipline. You really have to, many times I'll say, well, what can I think right now that is a positive thought? What can I think that you go 2 or 3 positive thoughts, gratitude thoughts, things like that, and it never fails to lift my mood. And my attitude toward everything going on around me is much better as well. And if more people would take the time to do that, I think we would have a much better world. We would all be getting along, I think, much better, because not only would we be able to see the things that are going well in our lives and focus on the positives in our lives, but also we'd be able to see the positives in others as well. So if anything, reprehensible is a strong word rather, but if anything is regrettable, I believe it is more people don't take the time to really focus on everything that's right and the positives in their life.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Steve. So in my spiritual tradition, I was taught that creativity comes from a quiet mind, which was an inspiration to me to start meditating. How does creativity relate to your life? Miranda,
Okay, you want me to stand up?
will you? Are you willing?
I'm willing, I'm gonna be.
Great.
Anything about creativity or about yourself that you want to tell me? Yeah.
Okay, so creativity, I'm in a field where I help others realize their creativity. And I think there's a lot of creativity in that and being able to work with others to kind of understand their vision and then know all of the elements to put together to realize someone else's creativity, which then becomes my creativity because I'm realizing others' creativity. I'm going to stop there.
That's great.
Where are we time-wise?
We have time.
Okay.
6:21.
Okay, all right. So, those of you that have been around here for a while know I cough a lot. And I never cough when I'm just at home. I only cough when I'm in a yoga class or a movie theater or Toastmasters meeting. So you told us so much about the mind. Do you think I'm being psychosomatic, Karan?
Dr. Karan.
Not sure I'm qualified to answer that question. I don't know what the consequences of my answer are going to be. What do you think? Do you think that's?
It's pretty big enough topic.
Speak about it in general terms. Psychosomatic illnesses.
Yeah, I want to say something. One of the things that has occurred to me and fascinated, you hear a lot of yogic teachers talk about how the mind plays tricks on you. Maybe that could even be an answer. Krishnamurti talks about all thought is a reaction to memory. And that thought is very cunning. And recently, in the little past while, I have actually seen that. What I've recognized in myself is our thinking has a theme. And it's true for me. Maybe you can look in yourself to see if it's true for you too. Some incident happened. I'm on a walk. A thought comes up to me. When I follow it, I always get to an ending that is very similar to other thoughts that have that ending. And this actually tells me that, yes, that thought is something that's inherent, that's a reaction for me. And I create all of these scenarios to get back to that origin. So when they say that thought is cunning, it seems to me that that's what they're talking about.
He answered my question. I think I'm scared. I don't like to cough when I'm in a group. So I got to figure that out. All right. Ben, would you like to do one?
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. So I have one more question. Ish, it's for you. Are you still on? Oh, yeah, there you are. Okay. Is there a question you heard today that you'd like to answer?
Is there a question that I've heard that I'd like to answer? There was a question earlier that was asked to Chris about what sports have taught me about the mind. And one thing that I found more than any other activity is when I'm running, I have to face myself in the rawest form. I have to battle my mind. I have to battle my body. I have to battle my ego. And no one's watching me. Really, like I'll be in the gym, and if I get off the treadmill, if I walk away, no one's gonna laugh at me. No one's gonna tell me to keep going. It's really just me against me. And what I found while
Keep it up.
running,
These are- Oh, I don't know.
what I've found while running is that there's several stages that you encounter, and the first wave of fatigue is purely mental. Your mind is fatigued long before your body is. And it doesn't matter if I've been running for just a couple of days after, weeks off, or if I've been running for 6 months nonstop, I will always encounter this first wave. And I have to convince myself that I can get past it. And I've found different questions that I have to ask myself. And ultimately, what I've arrived at is almost an awareness of self. Oh, red. I'll stop there.
Oh, you have 30 seconds. You can finish that thought.
30 seconds. Yeah, it's always like an awareness of self. And so I start asking myself all of these questions. As I'm fatigued, I ask myself, am I really tired? Am I really about to pass out? Am I really at the edge of my sanity? Is this really as far as I can go? Or is it that I just want to quit? And as I really become aware of myself and I don't pay attention to my breathing, I don't pay attention to, my feet or my back or whatever, but rather just my state of consciousness. As soon as I come into like true awareness of where my mind lies, then I can get past that hurdle and keep going another 10 or 15 miles or however long I'm gonna be running that day. I might encounter that 10 seconds and I might encounter that 2 miles in. But I'm always gonna face that hurdle when I run. And I love that particular battle.
Great. And a big hand for our table topics master tonight. Well, all right, let's go for our reports now. James, timing report.
Everybody was roughly in time.
Good.
That's a diplomatic.
Okay,
All regular members were on time. Yeah.
okay, that's great. What about the grammarian report, John?
Yeah, Ish, you had one one so, one and you had two tongue clicks, but I noticed that you would have pauses to, I think, prevent yourself from having those filler words. So I think that's a great thing to do. Karan, you had two so's, nothing else. Chris, you had one, Miranda, you had one But everyone else said good.
Good. How many people used the word of the day?
I know I did.
Shar, I did. Who else?
I did.
James? All right, good. That's part of the grammarian report, by the way, just for future reference. But
Well, his was the R counter. He was not the grammarian.
okay, right, that's right. I thought it was combined, but my mistake, my mistake. Okay. So what did you think of our meeting? Good,
Awesome.
great. Well, I'll send you the information. Hopefully we'll see you again. Ben?
Same, have a question. Thank you very much.
Terrific. We'll send you the info. And like I say, we hope to see you again. One of the things that Chris brought up that I'd just like to mention, and he talked about the role of self-talk in sports. When for our guests, what we try to emphasize here are the positives and build on the positives and really encourage people after any speech to take a look at what they did well, what they did right. The other things will take care of themselves over time, but it's really important to build confidence that you notice what you did well during a speech. And there is a saying that confidence is the memory of success. So you want to make sure you remember those successful moments. Okay, let's talk about next week. We have our speakers, which will be, John will be giving his icebreaker speech next week. Yay. Kenzie's also on the list, but shall I put you on for the next week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Okay, good.
Is that? Yeah, that works because it's not 4th of July yet, or is it past?
No, 4th of July is on a Saturday.
Yeah, I think it's after.
So it'd be Tuesday the 7th.
Yeah, I think it's the 7th. Yeah,
Perfect.
it'll be the 7th. So we're good. All right, we'll put you on the week after. Toastmaster next week. Okay, Karan. Table topics. I'll do that, I guess. And thought of the day.
I can do that.
Okay. Joke master. Big shoes to fill, I realize. Shar. Was that reprehensible?
I have one, I hesitate to, it's one of my favorites.
Okay.
I've remembered
We'll go with Shar next week. Okay.
Since my college year, so maybe that's, should tell you.
All right.
something.
Now, I think that's it. Covered it all. We'll take care of the rest later.
Yeah.
So everybody get on a screen here. Ben, you want to come in? What we try to do at the end of every meeting is we take a group picture. Miranda, you want to get up there close? There we go. Make sure we got some light on it. Yeah, there we go. So the idea here is we want to act like this has been the greatest time you've ever had. I'll count down from 3. Hey, there's Chris. All right, count down from 3. And everybody look extremely happy. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yay! All right, let's take a look.
Are you in the plane, Chris?
Yeah, I think he is.
Just boarded.
All right, great. Perfect. Safe travels, Chris.
Thank you. See you guys next week.
See you
All
next
right.
week.
Finished, Sharon?
I think we're done.